Hiya, my name is Leah and it's good to see you. And I have my June books with me. It was actually four, because I read one digital, and let's get into it. And the first one was the digital one, Gods of Risk, a novella in the Expand sci-fi series. That one that I read a while back. There's quite a few novellas, and I intend to read some more. Gods of Risk I read because it was supposedly about Bobby, which didn't turn out to be true. She was there. It's if you know The Expanse, I'm not going to really spoil anything, but it's let's just say when Bobby returns to Mars, her home, after she does something in a certain book. um, and she's a little bit, shall we say, idle, I suppose. But yeah, it's again, it's not really about her. It's not really too much about how Mars is doing. It's about her nephew, because she lives at her brother's home. So it's about her nephew going to school, and apparently he's a genius and really good in the lab, and so he does drugs. So and then he deals, and of course he knows people he's not supposed to know, and yeah, so it's basically about a horny teenager doing drugs and selling drugs and getting into a scrape. And then there's this one badass moment with Bobby. So maybe it's just my own expectations, but because of that, I couldn't really enjoy it because yeah, I don't enjoy reading about a horny teenager, and I am saying it like that because yes, there is a lot of thoughts of this young man that go in that direction, and I was just like, I thought I'm reading about Bobby and maybe get more into her psychology after the things that happened, and she, among other places, she was on Earth. Now she's back on Mars, and those two don't exactly see eye to eye, the two factions. And I thought it would be more about that, and especially her, but no, it was hardly about her. So I was very disappointed, and I didn't really enjoy it because of that. So yeah, I think I gave it 1 star, maybe two. Don't remember, but not for me. Anyhow, next book was a reread. This is the second time I read The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is again sci-fi. It's about basically our protagonist. He's a sort of ambassador. I think envoy is the word they use in the book as the official title. So he's basically coming from one of the planets in like this planetary galactic sort of agreement, trade. I don't remember the name of it. There is a name, the Ecumen or something. Could that be? I don't know. Regardless, so basically there's like this huge trade going on in the universe, and basically they're going from planet to planet to find maybe people that have not yet discovered space travel, and they're basically offering them to join. So it's nothing empire-wise. There's no guns blazing, no power reach. That's not what this book is about. So this book is really about how then this ambassador, this envoy, always has to go alone because one person is curiosity. They say that in the book. One person is a curiosity, two persons is an invasion. And again, it's not about that. They just want more planets to trade with. So maybe there is something on this planet where we are here that could help the galactic trade thingy. Is it ecumen? I'm gonna look it up. I might speed up this part until I found it. Now I kind of feel like I need to know so I can actually name it. I was right. Ecumen. Nice. 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 So anyway, so yeah, the ecumen just wants to more planets to join and to have. It's about trade of knowledge, more and materials potentially more than anything else. So Genli goes is the ambassador. He goes to a planet that then they call the Winter. I think then the official name is Gieten. Later in the Ecumen. But regardless, so he's on Winter because it's a very, very cold planet that even in summer, like it could snow and winters are terrible. But also, what the most interesting interesting thing is with this book, so the people of Winter, the humans there, they're like biologically very different from us, from humans here in this world, in that they have both sexes. So when they're just normal, so to speak, they have no genitals at all. And when they go into something they call Kemmer, and I think that's based on a moon cycle, like similar to a woman's period, then their body will basically grow one of the genitals, depending on how they are, like at that moment, maybe also by whom they are surrounded. So often, like one of them will then form the male genitals, the other the females. And they are also usually, when they are in Kemmer, they are very aroused and want to lay with someone. So it's very, very interesting, kind of very, very different way. And so they look at was it Genli or Genry? Because I remember they couldn't pronounce either the R or the L. It would make more sense if they couldn't pronounce the R, and they call him Genli. And that's why that's more vivid in my mind than shit. I should have looked that up too. I mean, I know it's Genli or Genry, but it should be Genry in that case, right? No, it's L. So they can't pronounce the L? That's interesting. Genli. Okay, anyway. Genli, our ambassador, so he's basically there to inform them, because this is a world that hasn't discovered space travel yet, so he's basically there to inform them, hey, there is this intergalactic trade association, the Acumen, and we would like you to join, and here you can look at my spaceship in which I landed. You can look at things that I brought. He also brings pictures and stuff like that. Even a communicator where they like can radio to a different planet, trying to prove that what he's saying is real. And so in this Planet Winter, there's basically two main factions. The one is in Ehrenrang. Oh, what's the other one? Scheiße. I don't remember. And another one, so he's right now in this Ehrenrang that is like a monarchy. They have a king. And in the other one, it's more like organized with different senators. It's not the title senator, they have another title, but it's like several like high up people, and everything's super disciplined. Everything is super checked. Like every 100 meters you have to show your papers, and there is guards and security, and everything's disciplined and stuff like that. So it's very, very different to areas in one and the same planet. And they're also sort of warring. It's like stalemate-ish, but they don't like each other. But anyway, so basically this book is then about how Genli goes about trying to convince them that, number one, he's not lying, and number two, that it's a good thing to join the Acumen. And like one of the things that, like, he says, like, there's this spaceship right now in orbit, or actually he withholds that information at first, because again it could seem invasion-y, like revealing that, hey, there's a spaceship in orbit around your planet constantly. They are sleeping until, like, he can like wake them up and tell them to land. So it wouldn't be like immediate. It would take probably a couple, I think, days, maybe a week, before they would actually land. Also depending on where in the orbit they are, and then where they are supposed to land and all that jazz. So it's a super interesting premise. I really, already the premise is so, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to reread. And then lots of, difficult, right, to tell people who have not even imagined space travel as we have, to get them to believe you. So Genli has a very not easy task, and it's not always going so well. And he gets close to one of the one of the guys that he very, very much distrusts, and I don't understand why. Now I also need to look up this man's name, because they have very strange name, and I haven't to this day fully understand which is the first name and which is the last name. Estraven. Now it came back to me. Estraven or Straven. I don't know. I only read it in my head. I haven't anyone else heard talk about it. So Estraven, he's from Ehrenrang, and he's basically the one that apparently to Genli is very cold, very I don't know, somehow. So here's the thing. I really love this story, number one. But there's something in Genli when you read him, especially in the beginning of the book. It's like, oh, Estraven, he's doing that and that again. And then basically it's as if the book tries to lure us into thinking that Estraven is a bad guy. But Genli's reasoning makes no sense to me. So from the beginning I was like, no, he sounds legit to me. Because he's the one that organized him an audience with the king. He's the one that basically asked all the questions and really wants him to talk to the king. And somehow Genli thinks that Estraven is working against him or just doesn't like him, or I don't know. That's the one part in this book that to me didn't fully hold. I just didn't believe it. And I remember that was another reason I wanted to reread it, because I remember that being a thing also the first time I read it. I'm like, wasn't there a thing that he didn't trust someone, but he seemed trustworthy to me? And again, I had exactly that same feeling again. But regardless, Estraven is a great character, very complex, and it is difficult to read him. Like, that's fair enough, it really is. But we get POV chapters by him, so really cool. And also the way this book is written, sometimes we like go into their folk tales. So one chapter, usually a very short one, that's also very nicely done, like 2-3 pages. It's just like a legend from Winter. So we get kind of to know the planet we're on and what they believe. Instead of trying to force it into a dialogue, it's just like basically written as if it's a paper that the Ecumen has that you can read in the archives of the Ecumen if you read about Winter, or Getan, as they called it later. Yeah, so very fascinating story, fascinating like premise with the different biology and how the people react to Genli, they call him a pervert because his genitals are always there. And to them that's like, ugh, so you're constantly aroused. That's what they think. Not too far off, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, anyway, so yeah, this is a very fascinating, very cool book, very interesting sci-fi take. Also the way space travel is explained with time, and they're doing time jumps. So if Genli travels for a week through super high-speed space, for him it's a week, he only grows 1 week, but they call it time jump. So in other planets where he left, it's been 20 years. So he couldn't like return to a family. Also very interesting concept. So anyway, I think I should move on. This is really cool. I think 4.5 stars, almost perfect. Yeah, few minor gripes, but very, very interesting story. And there is some action in there as well. So don't worry if you think it's all just philosophical and talk. No, you get some really, really nice, good action there as well, and excitement. So that was book number 2. Yes, let's go on with book number 3. This was The Mysterious Affairs at Styles Poirot, if you can see it in grey, by Agatha Christie. This is the first Poirot book, if you know. He's a detective by Agatha Christie, and there's like a series, a little bit like Sherlock Holmes, so there are several novels with Poirot. I think the most famous one probably is Murder on the Orient Express. That's also a Poirot story. And yeah, so this is the first one. So this is number 1, where he's introduced. But it's funny, already here, I always wondered like how he's introduced, but already here he's basically an established known detective, and he just stumbles to be near this Styles, which is the name of a fancy country house where someone dies, of course. And I really enjoyed this book. There is it's a little bit again similar to how Sherlock Holmes is written, by that we have a narrator who is in the I, in the first person, and he's not Poirot. So he talks about how he experienced this these happenings, and Poirot figuring it out. And he was also the one who happened to be an old friend of Poirot's, and he like prides himself of being also quite like that he sees things, he has a nice open mind, but he's so petty. He was so annoying. Sorry, because Poirot like often would like hint at stuff, but he wouldn't give everything away. Also, he couldn't, because all the people around us were the people involved in the house and were potentially the murderer. So he couldn't like spell everything out black and white. And this protagonist, he was like, oh, like many times he was like, oh, he's probably become really old by now. Like he completely dismissed him and was like super arrogant, thinking he knows better. And I don't know, it's just maybe my feeling of protecting who I know is a real detective or something. It just really bugged me. That was the one part that bugged me the most. The protagonist was an arrogant ass, and he was really bad. Sorry, but he was like in the beginning when I read that, I was like, oh, so that's gonna be interesting. So maybe they're gonna play off each other. Not really. He does give Poirot some like different ways to think about it by being wrong, however. so that's interesting. I enjoyed that, but like, so to have to be in his head and his arrogant thoughts, and when he sulks when Poirot doesn't include him in his confidence and stuff like that, those things were just. I'm not here to talk about a sulky adult, and yeah. But anyway, all in all, I enjoyed it. It was a good mystery. I was wrong. I tried to solve it. Of course, I guess one automatically does when we read one of these detective novels. I was wrong. The fun thing, though, for me, the closer we got to the end and the more information we got, I was more and more sure that I was right. And as he already starts to then relate the facts that he has gathered, at that point, I'm still like, oh shit, I got it. And then he turned it around. It was so good, because I was really like starting to pat myself. Hey, good job. We did it. We figured it out pretty early on. No, I was wrong. But enjoyed it anyway, and it made sense. So yeah, really enjoyed it. So I think it was cool. So maybe I'll read another pro, as long as it's maybe not the same narrative. And the last book number 4 that I read, was Anne of Avonlea by Ella Montgomery, a Canadian classic. So this is the second book after Anne of Green Gables, which I read way back, long ago. Anne of Green Gables particularly is like a children's story. It's young Anne, I think she's 9 or 10 years old when she comes to Avonlea. To the Cuthberts who take her in. They really wanted a boy to help with the farm, but then through mistakes ended up getting a girl, and especially Matthew Cuthbert, their siblings, Matthew and is it Maria Cuthbert? Holy cow, Marilla. For a second there, it slipped me. Matthew, Marilla Cuthbert siblings, especially Matthew, fell immediately in love with Anne, and so eventually she stays. So here Anne is 16 and onwards, so we continue basically her journey, becoming sort of an adult. She's teaching now at the school, which is very, I guess, that's how things worked back then. I guess it's not that uncommon that a teenage, older woman would teach younger children. I guess that makes sense. Also thinking about it, like, teaching people at home and stuff like that. It's just like, whoa, just in my own experience, thinking that my teacher was 16 years old while I'm 4 or 5, 6, I don't even know. I think they also have different ages, the kids, because there's no real rule that when you're age 6 you have to start school, but you can basically hop in whenever, more or less. And so they have like different ages and stuff. At least that's how I understood it. I may be completely off here, but anyway, so she's teaching. We still meet her friends, Diana and Gilbert and the others. Mrs. Lind or Lind, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is also in there. She's their neighbor and had a very rough start with Anne in the first book, but now she's dear to us. And we also have a new neighbor on the other side, Mr. Harrison, who's grumpy and doesn't talk to anyone, but no one can resist Anne and her sprightly, shining red hair with super red heart and open-minded and mouthed. She still talks a lot, but still you can really see this is the grown Anne. As I said in my review of that other book, like you really felt the child Anne growing up, and here, even though she still loves to imagine things and she still talks a lot, she's still like the more grown-up version of her childish self, which is awesome. Like you also don't want her to lose it. So yeah, we just, again, as in the last book, we get like sort of mini stories, but we're also progressing slowly through her life. And is it 2 full years in the end? It might be 2 full years, or at least she's 17, maybe 18 at the end, going towards a certain goal. I don't want to spoil it. And yeah, and like I said, like just funny happenings, mistakes, bigger bad things happening. We have a very terrible storm, among other things, and she joined, or even like, not maybe founded, but had the idea, like they have this improvement society now in Avonlea, where they're trying to make Avonlea the prettiest place, which is so cute. So they want to plant trees, they want to take out old shabby looking shacks that no one's using anyway. They want to like paint over old not very nice looking halls and stuff like that. So it's very, very cute and wholesome. So once again, I really enjoyed this one. Anne of Avonlea, I can absolutely recommend. And that's it. That was the 4 books plus 1 novella that or 3 books plus 1 novella, 4 in total, that I read in the month of June. So yeah, it's soon vacation time, so I hope I get to reading a lot at the same time. I am going on vacation with a friend, so can't just sit there and read all the time, but from time to time. So we'll see, I don't know. I have no pressure on myself. I'll read however much I'll read. We'll see. But yeah, that will be the July video. So hope to see you then. Hope you're reading something. And if you want, you can let me know in the comments below what you're currently reading. And yeah, just take care of yourself, your own health. Do some yoga if you like. Highly recommend it. And otherwise, that's it. Bye-bye.